Okay, hey, welcome back. Alright, now I think we left off, we just added in material.rock here. So let's head on back into block, and I already pointed this out, but I is the block ID of the block. So we'll want to add int ID up at the top of our block bronze ores, and then we'll just pass ID to our super, which means that whatever value we put into block bronze ores constructor is our block ID. So let's head back up to our mod_better villages, which still has a super error for reasons unknown. But we're going to come up here, and we're going to make a public. Well, first let me show you where this naming scheme comes from. Up top here, you can see that there's a whole bunch of declarations. Let's use iron as our example here. And it's public static final block or iron. And the block or iron is probably the simplest part. It's simply a variable block of name or iron. The public static final right here first means public, which means that anything that can see block, and we already discussed files seeing other files with package in the last video. Public just means that any file that can see block can access this variable. Static means that it doesn't change from block to block. If you remember the person example I gave before, a variable hair could be, brown, blonde, whatever, but it would be, a static variable would be more like a nose. Everyone has a nose, so universally all people get a nose. Final means that it cannot be altered once it's created. So, a person's hair won't spontaneously change color during their lifetime. At least, I don't think that's something possible. Except, maybe going from, color to gray or something like that. But for the most part, final just means that it cannot be altered. So what this is saying to me here, public static final or iron, is that any block will have access to a block called or iron cannot be changed, and it's the same in every block. So we're going to declare our block exactly the same. Public static final block, and let's say block 10 ore, forgot to capitalize that, equals new block bronze ores. Now, again, using the template example, this should be fairly easy to understand. We created a block bronze ores template there. We're creating a new block called block 10 ore, and we're just saying that block 10 ore is going to use the template block bronze ores. This whole thing is underlined because block bronze ores requires an ID, like we said before. Now you can go onto the Minecraft wiki and find a list of what IDs are taken and by what and everything, but if you pick just a fairly high abstract ID, like let's say 500, you can be fairly certain that nothing is going to be in that spot. Then afterwards, let's head back into block to see more, get a couple more examples of how blocks are initialized. If you scroll down to the bottom here, you can see that the blocks it created up top are getting all kinds of information pumped into them. So, continuing with the example we had before, let's look for iron. Okay, one sec. Or iron. There we go. So you can see that or iron equals new block or. It's got some, arguments there. And then it's got this. dot set hardness. Now dot set hardness is hardness being how long it takes to mine, so it should be fairly self-explanatory. You do dot, and you get this list of things that open up over here, because block bronze ores is treated as part of block. If that doesn't make any sense, then don't worry, it should make sense fairly soon. Block bronze ores dot set hardness, and let's look at our example, our iron ore. And you can see that gold ore and coal are right next to it as well, and they all have the same hardness. So let's just assume that that's a pretty good hardness to have, you know, a pretty good amount of time that it takes to mine them, and we'll just copy it. The reason there's a 3F there is because if you look, set hardness, let's find where that's initialized here. We'll just highlight it, hit open declaration. Whoops, sorry. Highlight only set hardness, not the parentheses. Right click, open declaration. And you'll see that it takes a variable type called a float. A float is a number that's capable of holding a decimal point. If you remember, we've seen an integer before, but a float could take, say, 3.5222222 and on like that, whereas an integer is only capable of holding a whole number, or, you know, an integer. So say if you tried to pass 3.1415, etc., then it'd only be able to accept the 3, and it'd drop everything after the decimal point. So as you can see, set hardness literally just sets block hardness to equal F, the float. So we can go back to our mod better villages, and adding that F there is just a way of letting everyone know that this is a floating point, even though it's a integer. So, you know, just doesn't cause any confusion. It's just, you know, nice programming practice. So then we can do dot once more, and we can say, if we wanted to make it a block like bedrock, for example, we could do set block unbreakable, and it'd be, you know, unbreakable. But rather than that, let's go back to our example of block or iron. And set resistance is next on the list. Set resistance is its resistance to explosions. So, you know, if you made this really, really high, it would be completely blast proof. Maybe this would be good if you're making like a battle mod or something and you wanted bombs, but you wanted a bomb bunker, so you could, you know, throw a grenade or something like that and have it explode, and all the grass and rock around it would explode, but the bunker would be safe. So, you know, for right now we'll just use the standard OR resistance, which is set resistance. If I can manage to spell set resistance, and I believe it was 3, let me look. Set resistance, nope, that's set hardness. Resistance is 5. Okay, so 5F, F again for float, dot, let's set step sound this time. That sounds like a good one to do. If you look in our example of iron ore again, you can see that set step sound is set to sound stone footstep. And that sounds pretty good to me, especially since if you remember in block bronze ores, we set our material to rock, so we should set our step sound to rock as well, because it would be weird to hit something and see that it's made out of rock, but then walk on it and it sounds like sand, for example. It just wouldn't be right. So, we'll put in soundstone footstep, but as you can see, it gets a red underline. That's because soundstone footstep is a variable that is defined within block. You can tell that it's a variable because it's blue and italicized. So the way that you access this variable within block is the same way that you access methods from within block. That is, you just do block dot, and there you go. Soundstone footstep. If you want to see, you can just do block dot sound, and you'll get a list of all the sounds that it's able to do. In this case, we still just want stone, so we'll click stone, and that's all good. We'll add a semicolon at the end there, and since there's no longer an error on this line because we finished it with a semicolon, you can see that the variable even italicizes and turns blue once more to let us know that it knows it's a variable. The last thing we want to do here is just hit dot and set block name. And this is not the in-game name, so for example, it won't show up in your inventory when you highlight the item or anything like that. But it's an internal name, meaning that it still needs to be unique to the block. You know, Minecraft uses this to identify it. So you want to just, let's say block bronze, or let's do, if I can spell block correctly, of course, block tenor. Then, you know, all one word, lowercase. Again, this isn't going to show anywhere, so it doesn't really matter. Then, you know, that's all you need to do, really. Then we just copy and paste this. And we'll rename this to copper, seeing as how tin and copper ore are going to be more or less exactly the same thing. All we want to do is make sure that everywhere that it matters, we rename tin to copper. And now, if we were to run this, nothing would change in Minecraft. Even though we've added 2 new blocks, they don't have a texture, they don't spawn in the world, you know, nothing like that. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to come down here into our mod better villages, and I just realized, I think I might know what the problem is with super. This B right here is not capitalized. Let's see if that'll help anything. Yep, there you go. Okay, capitalization causes the weirdest errors. There you go. Oh, okay. Also, I forgot to change the block ID here. Let's change that to 501 just to keep it consistent. Hit save again. And there's still an error on this line. Oh, we didn't save block bronze ores, so it's throwing an error. There we go. Okay. Getting all derpy here, but whatever. This video's only got a minute left, so I'll try and explain this as best I can. Let's do mod loader, capitalize, dot, register block, not register all keys, register block. What register block does is it tells ModLoader that there is a new block that it needs to keep track of, and it needs to add it to a couple lists and things like that. So let's do just block 10 ore, copy and paste, block copper ore, copy and paste again. Now let's do, actually, modloader dot, can't remember exactly what this is called. I believe it's just dot add name, modloader dot add, and add name, yes, okay. So then you want to say block 10 ore, this is the object you're naming, and then give it a name. In this case, we want it to be, not copper, 10 ore. This is the in-game name, so whenever you have it in your inventory or anything like that, this is the name that it will display. So you want to make sure this is properly capitalized and, you know, anything like that. Oh, and there's my timer. So I'll just end this off, and I'll show you how to make a texture in the next video.